you want your milk to be lukewarm. You don't want it to be scalding hot. So just barely warm to the touch. And I'm going to take my instant yeast here and I'm just going to sprinkle it over top. And kind of let that like bloom and get a little frothy. And then I'm going to take my melted butter here. I'm going to pour that in. I'm going to pour in my frothy, milky yeast mixture. And I'm just going to have a wooden spoon here and I'm just going to give that a stir. Until it's just combined. Now I'm going to throw in my sugar. That is stir. I'm gonna throw in my flour along with my eggs and egg yolks, and just go ahead and give that a nice mix. Now this is where you're gonna get your hands dirty. You can choose to put on gloves if you want to, but you're just gonna mix this with a wooden spoon until a tacky dough starts to form. And then once it kind of gets a little sticky and tacky, then I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some gloves. Excess flour here, I'm gonna dump it on the table. You can knead this in the bowl if you want to. I just want more control and more room, so I'm going to knead it on the table. And I'm just going to dump that out. And you just want to knead this together. Now once your dough is kneaded, as you can see, this is what it looks like. It's kind of wrinkly. That's okay. Like, you don't want to overwork the dough. You don't want to knead it too much because you don't want to overwork the dough. It's not going to be super smooth like you see bread doughs and things like that. As long as it rises, it's okay. Now I'm just going to take some spray. Just going to grease my bowl. We're gonna place that in here, get a damp linen, and I'm just gonna put that over my dough. That way it stays nice and moisturized. Now you can just set this aside and let this proof for an hour. About an hour, hour and a half at most. Let this proof. You can sit this on top of your oven if you have a proofer. Anything warm will allow it to proof faster and rise faster. But if you got time, you can just set this aside, let it chill at room temperature, and then we're gonna come back later and roll this up. Now for our filling, we just have 3 ingredients, which is unsalted butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon. I have a pound of butter. You won't need that much butter. It depends on how gooey you want your cinnamon rolls to be. I like my cinnamon rolls to be just packed with a bunch of just yummy goodness. So I use a pound of butter. I use a cup of brown sugar, and I use a tablespoon and a half of cinnamon. And that sounds like a lot for 9 cinnamon rolls, but trust me, like, it's delicious. It's delicious. And if you don't want a gooey center, you can always cut this in half. So my butter is softened. I'm just gonna take my brown sugar, dump that in, and my cinnamon. And again, I'm gonna get my hands dirty. This is how I like to make my cinnamon rolls, because some people don't have mixers. Some people don't have electric mixers. Some people don't have KitchenAids. And a lot of recipes show you how to make this recipe with a mixer, and it's like, but what if I don't have a mixer, you know? And I want you guys to be able to make these things without feeling like you have to have every ingredient in the book. I will see some people layer it, like they'll spread the butter down, then the sugar, then sprinkle the cinnamon. I just like to mix it all together and then spread it on there. You want that butter to be melted, you want it to be soft because you want to be able to spread it. You see that? Nice and spreadable. Look at that. Just yummy goodness. I could just eat this off the bowl right now. So, now our filling is made. We're gonna set that aside. My 9-inch hotel pan, a little extra brown sugar. It's the ambulance. Oh no. Now, what I like to do is I take a little bit of the butter mixture and I just kind of put that in the pan and just kind of spread it around the pan. This step is optional. I do this so there's nothing that they can stick to, and just so some of that like gooey goodness is just like at the bottom, so like you get it in every bite, you know. I don't sprinkle a lot. I just sprinkle a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so now we're back and we have our dough here that has proof and risen. We're going to get our little punch of air out of it. And now we're going to roll this out. So I'm going to flour my surface down. And I'm going to take this out, put that on the surface. So it's not sticking, and I'm just going to kind of give myself like a rectangle shape, kind of try to make a rectangle shape, so that way when you roll it out it's kind of square. Get a rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can definitely like makeshift this with like a toilet paper roll, a paper towel roll, anything that you can roll against the surface. Too thin, because then you're not going to be able to hold your filling, but you also don't want it too thick because then it's going to be too doughy. So now I'm going to just take my cinnamon, sugar, butter mixture. I'm just going to take that and we're just going to spread that on there. We're just going to plop that right on there. Look at that, all that yummy goodness. And then we're just gonna spread that around. Try to get it as even as possible. I know some people will leave like the perimeters not covered and like leave those like just doughy, but like no, cover the whole thing. But at least I like to cover the whole thing because in my household, no cinnamon roll gets left behind. We eat the baby pieces too. So spread it on there real good. Try to get it as even as possible. This is why your butter needs to be completely soft, because if it's hard, you will struggle doing this. You will struggle. This will be very difficult, and you'll want to quit, and you'll never want to cook again in your life. So I'm telling you, make sure your butter is soft. Otherwise, you're going to struggle. So this is where you want to roll as tight as you can. It's gonna be messy. Cooking is messy, you know. Eating bread is messy. So you just want to tuck it and just roll as tight as you can. Now, the more filling you have in here, the more like tight you want it to be, because your filling will pop out and it'll kind of like fall out or kind of spread out. squeeze it, let it get a little even, kind of move disperse the filling out. You see what I'm doing? I'm kind of like pushing it out until like I see it reach the ends, and that way I know each and every part of this has the gooiness inside. Okay, now I'm just gonna cut these up. You can cut these, you can make these as big as you want, as small as you want. I'm just gonna cut these up. Like you want to, you could cut these ends off and like to have more professional looking cinnamon rolls. I'm not saying these aren't professional, but they're still gonna look good. Like once they bake and things like that. I just like to use every part of the cinnamon roll. Some people cut the ends off and leave them out. Look at this little guy. Look at this little guy. You can eat him. Like you can eat him. And then I'm just going to put them neatly packed into my brown sugar butter pan. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It could have went in a smaller pan, but it's okay. You're gonna expand. It will expand. Okay, so now that they're in my pan, I'm gonna cover them and they're gonna proof again for 30 minutes. And then they're ready to bake. If you wanted to prep these ahead of time for a party or something, you can stop at this step and you can put these in the freezer and save them for later. Or you can put them in the fridge and let them proof in the fridge and bake them the next day. They'll still be just as gooey. These freeze and unfreeze like perfectly. These can be eaten now, they can be eaten later, whatever. They stay good up in the freezer for a month. So yeah, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 cinnamon rolls out of these. The yield is between 8 to 10, depending on how big you cut them. So now I'm gonna wrap this up with some plastic wrap, 30 to 40 minutes. And yeah, so this is what they look like after they proofed. They've doubled in size, and they're so soft and gooey. Now we're gonna pop them in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes, and yeah. Just take a second to just look at how good these look. Look at that glaze. Look at that. Oh! Okay, that is the end of the video. These guys came out huge. Super huge. But they're definitely super, super soft on the inside. And I gotta take a bite of this. I got to. Look at that. Look at that. You see that? You see that inside? Oh my god. Oh my god. When I tell you, no, this is phenomenal. This is delicious. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you made these recipes, how it came out. And you know it's gonna be delicious. You know it's gonna be delicious. I highly suggest making it with a cream cheese icing or frosting. The glaze is good, but cream cheese like sets it off. Like it's, oh my god. So, bye guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video.